and just on a huge grand scale.
Yo, look at this one right here. I really feel like that's just like somebody's like had a machine and they just like carved into it. Look at this one, one of my favorites.
Or actually, here's another possible explanation, is that if you raise the water level up on that and all of that area was flooded in like a giant like inland sea and like just inland sea sort of thing, that each one of those rows would be like a street, apartment, or mega like causeway of possible city or inhabitation or something like that.
Well, a lot of people say it looks like ancient cities, and I do.
It
I
does
do
look
think
like
there
it
must
was
have
an
been something
ancient
going on.
cities at the waterways. So
But
they
when you
just, if
see
you
a
had all that,
perpendicular line, like where the water did it naturally, you can see the river. But when you've got these lines going across, and I think you can see that line. Is it older than the river? I don't think so. But it seems to be going across the river. When you see perpendicular lines go across rivers, and when you see the stuff like I showed you in the Tibesti Mountains, where you've got a straight line and then perpendicular lines coming away from it, it just doesn't really add up in my head. What is this, Lake Powell? We're still up in Utah then, huh? Anyways, I'll go back up. Where do you want me to go next? I'm just saying, you see these are perpendicular lines here. And
I just envision that with flooded with more water, and then it being used as for like terracing for agriculture as well as in habitation, and it being green instead of dead and desolate and bare.
Well, and this must have been, I don't know if you can say around the world was a desert. Look at those lines. You look at how they're cut. You see 3, 4 parallel. They're not perfectly parallel, but they're in the same direction. And they go across like the river caused that? I don't think so. And then when we get even closer, look at those cuts. Look at all those cuts right there. The top of the plateau is left untouched.
Such hard stone and stuff. It just it doesn't make sense.
There's a lot of stuff that I'll say is natural, but when I see those large cuts going perpendicular, and that's not really perpendicular. I don't want to sound ignorant. So where's the Grand Canyon coming soon as we get closer to it? Yeah, right around here. I don't see it all along here, so I sometimes wonder what made it more valuable spot. Sometimes I can zoom in and I can find some action going on, but most of it, I think, is where I showed you earlier. Yeah, look at that. So why are those colors like that? That looks like something was dumped on. Oh, look at, and by the way, look at the cutting right next to it. So again, they're all in the same direction. I would probably, like I say, if I didn't see anything else, I'd probably say, okay, that's natural. Look at this one. It looks like it's natural, but just because you don't see anything else like it at all, like what happened? Did somebody cut the top of that? And you can see that the lower plateau is what they want. This is the top plateau right here. Nobody's touching it. But this lower plateau, then this happens. Like, how is that even possible that this lower plateau, about 4,800 feet, is all carved up and eroded in straight lines, but the plateaus above it, untouched and pristine? I wonder how many people. I got a couple people. Constantine, thank you for your chat there. I'm gonna read it more carefully later on. And there's also mounds everywhere. Just trying to find that one spot. You see this line right here, it seems to kind of stick out a little bit, right? So like there could have been a lot of different projects going on. And I'm back over here again. I want to find those good ones, those really good ones, but I guess I just didn't mark them well enough.
Look at a lot of those 90-degree angles up there. Like it's just
up how? Where?
Yeah, where you got it marked up there. Yeah, look at that stuff.
Well,
It's
I'm not
crazy.
sure what I was marking there. It's been a while. There's something around here that I thought was really important, and I just can't seem to find it. But yeah, you get these cuts, and it's like, well, that's jointing. But is it? I mean, it just doesn't make sense, especially when there's 3 different directions of parallel lines. Literal triangles cut. Like, do you see? This is not triangles. That's 2 directions. And then that mound that I showed you, which is over here, that mound is just like, what the? Why would that be? You see all these straight lines, and then you've got these 2 round
that
things.
almost looks like one of the Devon Island pyramid issues.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Just like you were showing.
They call a butte out there, I suspect, is like leftover ancient like civilization.
Yeah, some kind of a mound. And whether or not it was for just marking the land or working at the top so you can see everything. You see, when you see a line like that, it's just, to me, unreasonable to think that that's natural weathering. Because when you have a parallel line break, here, this is one of my favorites right here. When you have a parallel line, like, let's take this one, for example, and when they're formed, are they happening simultaneously? And the ones that are going the other direction are happening? No, I don't believe so. These lines are too straight for me. And how far do they go? I mean, this is probably less than a mile. Okay, that's only 700 feet. So it's way less than a mile. But to me, that doesn't mean that it's not impossible. I mean, just a little bit too straight over here.
Going back through the canals that you found, like for us to finish it off in the Ricotte structure a bit, and like how like there's undeniable evidence of mass terraforming and canal cutting throughout that region, and like almost all of Africa and the Middle East as well. It's crazy. You were showing me how deep they go through, the ones you actually driven through.
I walked down this one right here. I got some video. It's on my channel. But this part has trees growing in it. Now you think you see trees outside, but they're really sparse. But inside of this canal, it's just packed full of trees. And the place I walked was probably up here. There's the road right there. And what I did was I finally found a place, and we walked. See, what I didn't realize, it does eventually cross, but I finally found it like right about here, and we just parked, and I walked over here, and literally got in here. And to me, when I got in there, I was hoping to see machine sides, but it's just not that smooth. It's piles of rocks. I'm not prepped to go in there and get the photos, but let's just say that when you go along this thing, and you're looking at the sides, they're just too big of boulders to really see. But what I do think I do see is a bottom. Like, it's full of sand, right? And there are trees growing there. But I do believe that sometimes there's a bottom exposed, and you can see sometimes, like, look at that right there. Like, how come those rocks would be like that? Because they were pulled out of that canal.
That has to be former foundations. I see like potential past cities and civilization.
Yeah.
And potential also the rocks maybe were cooked by like straight nuclear blast or like plasma blast from like the sun, or
I think it was terraformed, and then they see, look at this line right here. You see this line right here? That is like a little side canal that's not very. But wait, why is there another one that matches it right next to it, right there? They're perfectly parallel cuts. I don't think that could be called a canal. So I think it's like a line that's part of their terraforming work that they did. And it leads to the canal. Like, maybe it's flood control. So they put these little ridges in there.
That's what I think it actually all is that's exactly what it is. It's all for the direction of water, and that they would direct the water, and what you're showing with the alternating these dikes and stuff, that it act going in parallel but back and forth and stuff, so it's to direct and smooth and control and steady the slow flow of water from the very top of the continental divide all the way down to the coast. Like, it's literally macro engineered from the top of the
Well, that's
divide
what I think's
all
happened
the
here.
way down to slow down these big floods as long as possible, and that they used to utilize this water in just fantastical, exponential, better ways, and that it's all been intelligently designed.
Well, and think about if the ancient Taman Reset River was serving water. There's the Taman Reset right there. There's the Rashat. It's all upside down. But if the ancient Taman Reset was actually serving this whole area with water, like the Nile was serving water, this could have been full. It could have been actually just barely engineered and balanced, that any impact, like the Tenamore crater, right? The Tenamore crater was hit right here. This Tenamore crater, which is right here, that could have been one of the impacts that triggered it. This thing is about the right age. It said something between 9,000 to 13,000 years old, or 17,000. Maybe it said 20, but it's like perfect age to be one of the things that could have triggered floods. And the Maghreb Sea, the ocean, was right up here. This is the Taman Reset Mountains right near. I showed you this earlier. I showed you the quarry fields. The Taman Reset Mountains are right here. The Maghreb Sea was probably about here. And yeah, they had it all balanced. And the minute that cataclysm happened, I think impacts. But yeah, going down those two canals, you mentioned the quarrying. This little darker patch on top, I call this Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
And I guess Graham Hancock as well as Randall Carlson have shown a lot of evidence of this Younger Dryas impact event of like catastrophic, several like giant comets or asteroids hitting the ice caps in the oceans essentially, and I get that would also create absolutely insane tsunamis and wipe out the past civilization.
Yeah, and did you take a look at the Carolina Bay survey? You know about the Carolina Bays?
No, can you?
Let me show you. But basically,
they're all like, please do show this.
Yeah, it's going to take me a
love
second to pull that up.
I've been.
Well, you know what you can do is look it up on the internet and look up Carolina Bay. Let me do it from scratch, so anybody can do it. Carolina Bay survey, right here. Let's try that, and you get to this website. That's it. That's a picture of the Carolina Bays. They're all elliptical. Survey database in Excel visualization. I think it's this one. Download. I think we want that. And it'll open up. Let's do something else. What's going on here? Download? What did I do? It didn't seem to work out. But okay, so let's take a look at the pictures they've got on here. They come up to about here. That's Clovis right there. So now we know what happened to Clovis. When you get to the darker ones, it's really, I mean, you get in there and you can see the bays. Look at how many they are in small areas. Apparently there's millions of them. They're all elliptical, and they point.
What?
This is all over the US, and we don't even talk about this. They were called Carolina Bays because they were first discovered in South Carolina, I guess, North Carolina, whatever. Let's open. I want to open up the survey.
I got to get this. About this.
Is it here? Okay, that's it right there. Ovoid Basin Survey. So it's opening up Google Earth Pro. Let me get that up so we can see it. Here it comes. Whoops. And once we get in there, they'll start to appear. And this side hasn't appeared yet because there's so many. But when we zoom into Clovis, remember Clovis first? Clovis is right here. There's Clovis. Where is it? Right here, Clovis. All those red dots are bays. So now we know what happened to the Clovis people. And then it gets into the LiDAR scan or whatever you call this part. And you can start looking at these bays.
I see massive terracing, and it's like if they were pumping water either to the very tops and then it like cascades down to these terraces for agricultural purposes. Like, what? Look at that.
Well, when they start to overlap each other, then it kind of falls apart because, like, it's kind of difficult to go in and see these without the LiDAR scan. There's some in Nebraska, and some of them are questionable, like that right there. You know, that's kind of convenient. But what we do see is that they all aim, these ellipses are all aiming towards the Great Lakes. So if you can imagine a cataclysm here, they're in Texas. Let's go in Texas and see. I mean, there's literally hundreds of thousands of them, and there's so many that you almost feel like I don't know who did this work. It's just incredible when you get in there and you look at some of this stuff. But the LiDAR really tells the story, and you can't see this stuff without it. There he goes. It kicked in. And these aren't very elliptical. I found some in near the Grand Canyon. I thought might also be survey.
But that part could be modern day farming.
Well, let's just say that
all the crop.
I mean, I do think that there was some major stuff going on in our farmlands as well. The terracing that you see, and look at that. You can see how the Carolina Bay stopped. The water event happened after the Carolina Bay event happened. So when you say farming, how come we don't have any down here? We have it up here on top of this plateau, but we don't have them down here because some other water event cleaned that out. I mean, it's true. It's hard to believe that all these were classified and found. And then we go over to the Carolinas, they're really big. So let me go over there real quick. It seems like it's a little too square. Like, yeah, there must be more. And Omaha also has it. My friend lives in Omaha. And these are all aiming towards the Great Lakes, right about here. So to me, I think this is a major smoking gun. And it is true that some of these are small, but when you get into the Carolina, North and South Carolina, you see a lot that are overlapping. So it's like the event happened like almost at the same time, one after the other. I mean, maybe these, and by the way, they're not direct impacts, right? So they're trying to say that these are ejecta from a larger impact, ice ejecta. So they automatically filled with kind of water and mud, and they're very shallow. They're not deep like craters would be deep, but this is more like ejecta.
So it's more likely bomb blasts, like giant. It looks like it's bombed out remains of former civilizations, because you see all these 90-degree angle, what looks like foundations or like basements of original like structure, and then in the center of them all of these giant freaking circular craters, bomb blasts potentially.
Yeah, it could have been something like that. I think water must have been involved, like the ejecta was ice, like from the ice sheet or something. But honestly, I mean, we know what happened to Clovis. Sorry, not COVID. The ovoid basin. And by the way, this gets updated, so make sure you have the 2023, or a bunch of them will be missing. Yeah, I'm gonna shut this down, but there's one slide that I have that kind of shows. Let me see if I can find that real quick. And I think I have it ready to go. Could be wrong. It just kind of shows the directions of all these lines. Here's the ones I found in New Mexico. And I thought these craters were also the same type of thing. But I talked to Antonio Zamora. He's like the guy, and he says that's not. It's too far away, he says. I'll just go ahead and believe him. I can't find that one. It's basically pointing all the way towards the Great Lakes. Here's that one that I couldn't find. Here, these geometric quarrying lines. So I showed you the one in Tassil Niger, but these lines on the left, I was going to find them for you, and I just missed them. But yeah, and they go on for a few miles. Let me see if I